Hello you, it's me. Today we're going to talk about The Well of Ascension, which is the second book in the Era 1 Mistborn trilogy. Sequel to The Final Empire, which I have done a review video for, I'll link it at the end. While I'm going to try and not spoil the plot for this book in the plot rundown, some of the things I'm going to say about the plot in this book are going to completely spoil the other book. So make sure you've read that first or watched that video first. There will be plot, review, stuff I liked, stuff I didn't like. It will all be marked on the time bar. This is set in a world where people born with an ability called allomancy can ingest and burn a metal, allowing them to use a power that metal fuels. Pewter increases your strength, iron lets you pull objects towards you, brass lets you soothe people's emotions, many more. Where most people can burn one, Mistborn can use the full range of metals and all of their powers alone or in combination. The series revolves around Vin, a Mistborn born into the peasant class of Scar, oppressed for hundreds of years by the noble class. The story is set in Luthadel, the Final Empire, the heart of civilization, the seat of the Lord Ruler, who long ago took a power from the Well of Ascension and used it to reshape the world, almost destroying it in the process, and reigning after that in dictatorship and tyranny. But now, the Lord Ruler is dead. Vin and the Mistborn Kelsier led a revolution, overthrowing the noble class and tearing down the Lord Ruler's system of oppression. But in the process, Kelsier lost his life. Elend ascended in a vacuum of power, and now rules over the city as king, backed by a council of Scar and nobles. But his father has returned and is demanding that the city be handed over to him, and lays siege to the city with another noble called Lord Ket, as Vin and Elend desperately try and keep control, providing for its people, restoring some kind of infrastructure, and desperately trying to locate the Lord Ruler's secret supply cache of atium, a highly valuable metal that lets the burner see a short way into the future. All the while they're doubting their previous actions in starting the revolution, as they uncover the Lord Ruler's motivations, their dark past, and information is being fed to the armies outside the gates by a spy in the ranks. This book reads very differently to the first book. This is a book of character development and politics to establish people's places in the world. It's very slow. There are places in the middle where I had to slug through it because not a lot was happening. There was meeting after meeting, council after council. I think in terms of the way the story was told, there was a lot less in the way of foreshadowing than in book one, which was dropping hints all the way along for a bonkers reveal right at the end. There was some in this, but I felt like 90% of that was in the epigraphs, and which Sazed had access to the whole time. And it was withheld from the reader, but I think having seen one specific piece of writing at the start of the book, it would have changed the way we read the whole rest of the book. There's a big theme in this book of what now? The hierarchy as they knew it has fallen, but along with it, so has the infrastructure that kept the country running. I like that this book pushes the idea that before you tear something down, you have to think further ahead about what you're going to do after that. A vacuum of power has been created and it's going to be filled whether you like it or not, so you better have something to put in its place. You do get some very big, ambitious series, with the plot only advancing by, we solved this problem, uh-oh, another problem. But this book does a great job of having a background story that really ties this and the sequel together, by way of the prophecy, by way of what that means for the world. So far, book 1 and 2 have had a fairly self-contained series of events that happened in each book, with a very clear interlude between them where some time has passed. But they don't feel distant from one another. It feels like the same story. I love that in book 2 there are still elements being introduced. You have the Colossus now, these monstrous orc troll-like creatures who grow twice as big as a person. You have new metal combinations and alloys being introduced, so the magic system is growing. And for me, it begs the question, which other metals will be introduced as the people of the world develop advancing technology? They have new ways to extract metal, they have new ways to mine metal and discover things they didn't know about. Chromium, tungsten, mercury. I hope we see more of this going forward, and I feel like by basing the magic system in metal, Sanderson has left a lot of room for development and growth. We're also learning a lot more about the Kandra, which are shaping up to be one of my favourite fantasy races in anything I've ever read. They play a much bigger part in this book than in book 1, where I really was hungry for information about them. With the introduction of Vin's Kandra companion, passed to her by contract from Orosya, and we do get that newbie plot device where we learn about Kandra organically because Vin is learning about Kandra, and we're watching that happen. So there's really no info dump. They just naturally become a bigger part of the world. It's done in a very nice way. In book 1, I really hated Elend. I thought his relationship with Vin was rushed. I thought he was pretty annoying. But this book honestly made me like him a lot. The book shows that a non-magic person is able to affect the world in the same way as Vin, through intelligence, through holding to ideals to make a difference. There's also the big idea in this book that you don't need to be the same as somebody to be a good match for them. You can both be excellent in your own rights, fighting in completely different arenas, and that doesn't remove the fact that you can understand and trust someone. I thought his character growth in this book was really good. I thought his dialogue was so much more interesting, and it's probably because so much of the book was set in his arena. Negotiation, conversation, debate. The inclusion of his character raises the question, can you win and still stay who you want to be? Can you be who you were before? Is it enough to be an idealist? With both him and Vin, there's a big theme of eventually you're going to have to commit to something, stop faffing around and make a decision. I think with both of them in this book, there's a lot of unsurety about who they are, which allows for character growth. I don't know if you'd be able to have the same amount of character growth in a book that wasn't as politics and conversation and introspection heavy. One of my favourite aspects of this book was it seemed that there was a lot more in the way of points of view. You get more insight into Sazed, through which we get a better look at and much bigger questions about religion. Elend, obviously. But I thought the best insights you got were Breeze, breaking the misconception that somebody who lives manipulating the emotions of others would automatically be somebody underhanded and deceitful, and he's not at all. He was definitely one of my favourite characters in this book. We did get a little bit of a closer look at Clubs too, and he really made the move in my head from pessimist to realist, which was nice. I do wish we got some more POV chapters from others in the gang, but I understand why Sanderson wasn't able to do that because of the background side story of there's a spy and nobody knew who the spy was. And you want to keep that tension ramped up for the big reveal at the end. Quick spoiler bit, something I really liked. I liked that the affection that developed between Orosya, or actually Tensoon, and Vin was genuine. I liked that because all the conversation between them happened after the initial deceit, he still had some stake in helping her at the end. I hope Tensoon is going to be in it more. Things I wasn't too keen on. This is going to be heavy spoiler. The whole arc with Zane was dumb and I didn't like it. I feel like the book was so political and no action for most of it that they needed to add in Vin and Zane's nighttime escapades just to break up the monotony of meeting. I felt like he was just a device for that. I feel like Vin being depressed about Kelsia led to her making a lot of stupid decisions, questioning a lot of feelings about Zane, literally just because he's Mistborn. Honestly, while Elend really rose in my estimations in my mind in this book, for 3/4 of the book I really didn't like Vin, who was my favourite character in book 1. She had a lot of character growth towards the end, but for the most part I was rolling my eyes at everything she did. I get that they needed to keep stuff in about her being unable to accept affection because of her origins, being unable to trust or allow herself to be trusted. And for me that would have worked if she hadn't fallen for Elend in 5 minutes in book 1. What I'm really hoping is that Mistborn is the Vin is very cool book, Well of Ascension is the Elend is very cool book, and Hero of Ages, they're both cool. Despite the fact that I liked Elend a lot in this book, I didn't like the ending that they chose for him. I get that it's natural progression for his character and it's something he deserved, but with the whole message of the book, for me being so heavy on you don't need to be the same as somebody to love them, I think that not necessarily the character development, but the impact of that message was really diminished for me with him becoming Mistborn. I liked him so much as a character because he was so important to the world without powers. I don't think that killing several hundred people affected Vin as much as it should have done. I feel like even with her upbringing in thief circles of abuse, I feel like having to kill human people as opposed to Colossus Inquisitors should have been more emotionally harrowing for her. I feel like she sort of strayed into anti-hero territory, which was kind of cool, but I feel like it could have been done better. Also, that weird bit where the Kandra is talking to Vin, and Vin is like, "You're a boy, Kandra. I can just tell." That was kind of like, I'm reserving questions I have about this book till the end of the next book, because I've actually started reading Hero of Ages, and they're already bleeding together. But hopefully that means that any unanswered questions still lingering at the end of book 3 are going to be extra juicy. So stay tuned for me picking this book apart in hopefully a fun way. I'm going to give this one 4 stars. I didn't like it as much as book 1, but it's still a very, very good book. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and leave a comment down below. Say hi. Like and subscribe for more single book reviews. Don't forget to follow me on Goodreads and Twitter, which I'll link down below. Don't forget to join our Sci-Fi Interstellar Book Club, which I'll also link down below. And I'm on Readerly now. My @ is Max. And I'll see you next time for the next review. Bye.